My name is Adrian Acuna. I am a Principal Solution Architect with CodeDX. Today I will be going through a brief demonstration of CodeDX and the basic operation. This demo is based on the assumption that you have a basic understanding of what the CodeDX platform is and the problems it addresses. To start, I will present a quick slideshow of the workflow I'll be going through to give some context of the demonstration. Also, hopefully it'll give you some additional insights of the platform's capabilities. The first thing I'll be doing in the demo is showing how to create a project in CodeDX and how to upload the source code. CodeDX doesn't really care what type of source code you'll be uploading or using. This will largely be dependent on the type of scanner you'll be connecting with. So whether it's C#, C++, PowerShell, Python, it doesn't really matter. CodeDX will ingest the code just fine, and then it'll make a determination based on the analysis of the code itself, and we'll see that in the demo. The second step in the process will be to initiate a scan and have CodeDX ingest the results. Now, CodeDX currently supports about 70 plus different scanners, and it actually comes pre-bundled with some open source scanners that are available on the market. But if you have a commercial scanner you're using today, CodeDX also has the ability to orchestrate those scanners with our platform. Once we have the scan results in place, we'll then look at how CodeDX can then triage and report on their vulnerabilities. So we'll see some dashboards, we'll see some scan information, some details about each vulnerability, and some of the standard information that comes back, right? This is kind of the most important part of getting a sense of where the current application sits from a security perspective. From there, we want to be able to get this vulnerability into the hands of a developer. And we'll see how CodeDX integrates with application lifecycle management tools such as Jira to accomplish this. We don't want to break the process that developers are doing today. We want to just integrate with their current workflow. Once the developers make their changes, they can then re-upload the code to their repository, and then CodeDX can pull down the new source code, and we can start the process all over again. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the demo and take a look at that. Okay, so I'm logged into my CodeDX environment now. A couple of things to note about this demo. Everything I'm going to be doing inside of the UI can be automated. CodeDX is built with an API-first mentality, and so everything within the UI is driven by an API endpoint. There's nothing you can't do from an automation standpoint that you can do user interface. So in this case, I'm going to create a new project. I want to call this first project ever, and then create project. At this point now, I'm going to connect it to my repository. Now I could just upload the source code directly to the project, but in this case, I'm going to use a Git repository link that I already have on GitHub. Right? I'm going to connect it there, and we'll see it's going to clone the project and bring the source code down. The next step would be to start initiating an analysis and ingest those results. So when I click on New Analysis inside of CodeDX, what it does is it starts unzipping the source code and start analyzing the code to make a determination of what's in there, what type of source code is it. And we can see that it's Java, in this case, Java source, a few libraries, some CSS, some XML source as well. And based on the data that's in that zip file, we can then determine what type of tools to run inside of CodeDX. As I mentioned before, we are bundled with a couple tools like check style, dependency check, etc. And so we'll list the tools that we can run based on the source code we see. If you have your own commercial tool and you say, hey, if I have Java code in my environment, I want to run this tool, that tool will also show up on the right here as one of the tools that we can run. Right? So just depending on what tools are configured within CodeDX. In this case, I'm just going to deselect a couple tools just to make it run a little faster, and click on Begin Analysis. And at that point, it's going to start running in the background. So I'm going to go back to my projects view. I'm going to organize this a little bit, and CodeDX has the ability to nest and create different nested configurations for your projects. So if I go into here and I say move into, I'm going to put it in APAC, for example, and just hit OK. This project is now going to be nested as a child of the APAC environment, and we'll see it now shows up under APAC. So quick, easy to keep your stuff nice and tidy. I'm going to now jump into a different application, in this case, my web code application. We've done a couple scans on this, and what I want you to look at is at the top level here, we have a number of 23,847 results. based on about 5 or 10 different scanners that we've run, we've come up with a total number of 24 results, but we've condensed that and consolidated and correlated them down to about 18,000. So that's a 30% reduction in the total number of results or findings that we have to deal with. In a normal instance, or a security analyst would have to spend time, hours upon hours, trying to figure out where these vulnerabilities correlate and can be deduplicated. And we've done that all for you, right? That's only if the analyst has time to do all that. And most times they don't, so they only use a couple tools. But to get the best coverage of your application, you have to use multiple tools on it to scan it. Some other things we could do once we've got some results inside of CodeDX is start make determinations based on the type of tools, as well as some of the standards that exist. So in this case, if I want to look at, show me in the application where I stand on DSysTig 4.9, I can actually create a view based on that alone and just check the box for just those specific standards. And it'll show me directly within CodeDX, hey, these vulnerabilities exist for those specific standards itself. And you can create as many of those as you want. And then from here, I can generate a report based on that standard specifically by clicking on Generate Report, and it'll show me a PDF of that report for DSysTig itself. Another feature of CodeDX is be able to look at a dashboard for that particular project. So when I look at the dashboard for that project, it then shows me the current score of the application, the total number of open findings. It gives me average days to resolution of how quickly we're getting these vulnerabilities resolved based on their criticality. Gives you some code metrics. What type of code are you seeing in the application as a whole? And then down here is important. This is the activity monitor. This gives you a sense of how frequently are you scanning your application. And any white bubble you might see here shows me that there's been no scan on that application on that particular day, right? So this gives you a really quick view from a high-level perspective of how well are you testing your application. And then going along with that, we have some created and resolved information. How are we doing on performance-wise? Hopefully, we're resolving more than we're creating. And then down at the bottom, we have some top finding information. Gives you a sense of what are your most common types of vulnerabilities. And at this point, we can say, hey, we see a lot of concurrency vulnerabilities, a lot of SQL injection, and based on that, we can make a business decision to bring in a trainer around those specific types of vulnerabilities. So that's another view. The next part beyond the reporting side will then be to get this information into the hands of developers. So if I pick any one of these vulnerabilities, I can then push this to the developer by integrating directly with Jira. So I already have this configured with Jira. But I can go ahead and create an issue right here by clicking the Create Issue button, and it'll create a view that's basically a copy of all the views that exist or all the fields that exist inside of Jira. And I can put as much information as I want here. And at this point, I can then hit OK, and there'll be a new ticket created inside of Jira, and then we get some status updates from Jira itself. So in this case, the ticket is currently marked as to do and as unresolved, and we can see that here that is marked as to do. So as a developer, I get information, whatever information I get fed from CodeDX, and it's really configurable up to you. Analysts can configure it to push as much or as little information into the Jira ticket as they like. If I want to go ahead and change this to mark this as in progress or in progress here, it'll update inside of Jira, but it'll also get an update within CodeDX. I can manually update this, or I can set an interval to go and update every hour, every day, every 5 minutes if I wanted to. And then I can see that it's now marked as in progress and unresolved. And then I can go ahead and put this as done. And if I put this as done, on the CodeDX side, I get the status updated as done and done from the CodeDX perspective. And so now we know for the next day that we come into the morning, we can see, hey, show me all the tickets inside of CodeDX for this particular application where the vulnerability has been marked as done. And then I can see here that we have 5 vulnerabilities all completed, all marked as done right now. And I know that they were found by AppScan, burp, and checkmarks, which gives me as an analyst a clear picture of what do I need to start working on today and run those scans to get the updated vulns closed. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, again, my name is Adrian Acuna. Please reach out to us at CodeDX at www.codedx.com.